Hey everybody, Vanessa Brown here, founder and CEO of Internal Rhythms. Today we were going to talk about back pain or back issues that you might be having. So, when I'm talking about back issues, I'm not going to be talking about fractures or severe herniations, but these are more of the common back issues that people come in with, like a sprain or a strain, sacroiliac joint dysfunction, and like a mild, I would say more of a mild slipped disc, but not a severe disc herniation. And some of the more common complaints that I get when I see clients is, they've been working out in their yard, they're doing a lot of raking or twisting, bending, lifting heavy things, or they've been to the gym, lifted too heavy, picked something up, twisted. These are the kinds of things that are quick issues that throw people's backs out. So I just want to step back for a second and just explain how the body wisdom is so amazing, because every single structure in the body knows how to do the job of every other structure in the body. So when it comes to muscles, the primary job a muscle has is to simply move a joint. That's it. It has no other function. However, if we have a situation where, let's say, we strain or sprain a ligament in the back, because the job of a ligament is to create structure and support and stability, if we lose the stability, the muscle will respond in kind and kind of raise its hand and say, I know how to be dense like a ligament or hard like a bone, and it will spasm to the point that's causing protection, which is a wonderful innate, and an inherent ability of the body. And it's really meant as a short-term solution, not a long-term problem. So when you're looking at things that are happening in your body, most people say, oh, well, Vanessa, I just tripped and fell. I twisted my back. I don't know where this came from. But I've really hurt myself. And I actually get people to look back and say, okay, when was the first time you ever had a twinge in your spine? Well, it was like maybe 5 years ago, or 3 weeks ago I did this, or, people tend to forget that they had these little traumas that have kind of acquired and accrued over time. So nothing ever really just happens in the body. Things have really been brewing behind the scenes, could have been for days, weeks, even years. And the psychology around a lot of this stuff is also really significant to look at, because it goes hand in hand with the outcome of getting better. So for instance, if we have a trauma, we fall, we slip, it's interesting to note that if you're in a foul mood, a bad mood, it becomes harder to actually heal that. If you're in a great mood, things are going well, typically you can heal a lot faster and move along and progress in your healing journey. So, looking at this typical back issue where, okay, so you've strained something, I am still going to look at the person's psychology, their emotional well-being, because if you think of the spine, the column itself, it represents support, because that's what it gives us. So if you look at your life and you say, okay, I'm having issue in my lumbar, my low back. Okay, how am I not feeling supported in my life? And I actually found this really amazing book, and it was speaking about some of the connections between bones and their correlation to ancestry. And the 5 lumbar vertebrae are basically encoded with the history of your own genetics from the ancestors. And each vertebrae contains a different field of information. And they went through all the specifics. I'm not going to go into that in great detail right now, but just to give you a little bit of information. And the sacrum, which is at the bottom of the spine, those are basically fused bones, and it contains information about particular history of your linear genetics. So it's really quite fascinating, actually. But in more general terms, I sort of ask clients, okay, so how are you not feeling supported? It's a big question because support can come in many different ways. We can be supported emotionally, financially, physically. We can be supported even just basically we can be supported from many different sources. So it doesn't always have to be a physical thing. It can be emotional. And it's really quite interesting to sort of help people open up and go into their own pain. And I understand too that, and I get it, when we have an injury or trauma, it's important to take care of the pain level and manage that pain in a way that's safe. But on the other hand, it's also really important to feel what's going on in your body so you have a bigger awareness or an understanding of how you can help yourself. So I'm not suggesting that you don't take pain medication. I'm just saying don't put too much down your mouth, because then you won't feel anything and you can actually hurt yourself further because you're not feeling it. And I recently just had a pretty severe back issue. Now I have a true leg length issue, and it was really interesting because I was doing a workout and I was doing a barefoot workout, and after actually about halfway through the workout, I was like, oh my God, my back is killing me. And I really twinged it. I really threw it out, and it was severe muscle spasm. And to be truthful, it was because I myself wasn't feeling completely supported in a specific area of my life. So after doing some great mobility exercises and just sort of self-reflection, I was able to come through that fairly quickly. And it took about a week, but I sort of treated myself, and I did some biofeedback and, did some mobility, and it really, really, really helped. So one of the really important things when you're dealing with back issue and, is to understand that it can really come from different sources. So like, as I mentioned before, it can come from having, lifting something, and you can get this jamming also in the sacroiliac joint, which is the joint between your sacrum and the ilium. And these are bones. It's a bony connection. It's not a true joint, but it's sort of like a flat connection. And that's supposed to move. So the ilium or the pelvis is supposed to move on the sacrum so that when you walk, it's rotating there. And sometimes if that's locked, the whole thing starts to roll, and then that causes spasm up your back. And that doesn't feel good either. And there's ways to create mobility and stretching around the ligaments, because it's all ligamentous through the pelvis and the sacrum. It's ridiculous, actually. And and sometimes it could be just a little fine tuning to figure out which ligament is actually causing the problem. Once you free the ligament, then you can free the joint, and then the muscles will relax and restore their function, and it's wonderful. Another reason, or a deep issue that some of the therapies tend to miss over, is that the significance and the importance of the organs. So organs are placed in the body via ligament attachment, and it can, under severe tension, create torsion through the hard frame, being your skeleton, and can cause other issues in muscle spasm and guarding through the low back. And I have seen that. I've seen that with different organs over the years: the liver, kidneys, sometimes the bowel, definitely the uterus, bladder, just to name a few of the organs that do relate back into back pain. And then freeing up the nerves through the lumbar plexus and the sacral plexus, just to free them up so that clients can feel like, okay, the muscles have relaxed a bit, I have more freedom of movement. And I always tell clients too, it's really, really, really important to maintain gentle mobility, because with the gentle mobility, you're going to improve the lymphatic flow, you're going to improve the vascular function, and you're going to enhance that lubrication in the joint. And it also just feels good to get that proprioception back into the muscle structure. Okay, I know you're under spasm, I know you're under tension, I know there's pain, but when the gentle movement is encouraged in the body, it has a tendency to have a great biofeedback to release, to lengthen, to soften. And one of the best gentle mobilities that I give clients with severe back stuff is to lay on your back with your knees bent, with your feet on the floor, and you gently roll the knees from side to side. And it does feel really amazing, and you can increase that range, and you can hold it on one side or the other, whatever feels good. And if you feel like you want to stay in one position to one side, you can always get a couple of pillows and support your knees so you're not completely twisting. But it is encouraged to go as far as you can and as gently as you can, but to also push your body a little bit. And sometimes that is a little uncomfortable, but you've got to kind of push it to make it better. But movement's key. Hydration also key. And to also think about, to go back into your own psychology and ask those questions about, why is this coming on? Why do I feel this? And what is this pain really telling me? Because the body really does talk to us, and it's about you having this great relationship with yourself where you can actually be completely honest and say, you know what, I really don't feel supported right now in this part of my life. This is, you might need to go talk to somebody about that, or be honest with your partner in your life, or a friendship or work relationship or something. And that's okay, But what happens is when it starts to free you up, you start to get that better connection within yourself, and you'll get that movement. One of the other great mobility exercises that I give for hip flexors. Now, the hip flexor is one of the largest muscles, and it runs from inside the femur, so the thigh bone, up across the front of the pelvis, and then it goes across the pelvis to the back of the spine. And it's a big muscle. It's one that gets really tight from lots of sitting. So if that's the kind of job you have, or you're just doing a lot of that trunk flexion or knee flexion, you would definitely need to be doing hip flexor stretching. And there's a lot of videos on hip flexor stretching. And another great release would be the cobra. And I'm not talking about full-on cobra in yoga, but more or less just laying on your stomach and coming up onto your elbows and just gently pressing the pelvis, the hips sort of down into the floor. And that's also releases across the front. So there's just a couple. I eventually will do a video on a majority of the stretches that are great for the hips and releasing the hips and opening up the low back and the trunk. So movement is key, hydration is important, and the psychology piece that goes along with that. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you. Until next time.